former federal prosecutor. Alyse, good to talk to you this morning.
Good morning, Audie. Thanks for having me.
So let's talk about the very premise of this suit, because I can imagine there have been times in past history where local governments, say during the civil rights period, did not want the federal government sending troops to their state. So what is the jurisdictional question here? What is California asking?
That's right. So I think you're referring to 1965, of course, where the federal government sent troops over the objection of a Democratic governor who did not want to protect peaceful civil rights marchers. That would be Martin Luther King, as they did their famous march. This is very different than that, right? And we just need to make clear the similarity there is that it was invoked at the objection of the sitting governor. But here, what we're talking about is a demonstration of force against largely peaceful protests. So Governor Newsom had already made clear to the government that California had the situation under control. And as the previous reporting earlier, Audie, on the show, usually civil law enforcement powers are reserved to the state and they are not reserved to the military. That is counter to the founding principles of our Constitution and our country. So Governor Newsom had told the Trump administration they didn't need that. So what he has done is rightfully initiated a lawsuit because fighting this in a court of law is the appropriate venue. And the lawsuit simply says this: look, we don't need the help. We have the situation under control. Yes, there is discrete incidents of violence, but that's why we have the Los Angeles Police Department. And this is an unconstitutional power grab that is infringing on the sovereign space of the states. Furthermore, the lawsuit also goes on to say that the statutory elements for when a president has the authority to invoke the statute have simply not been met. There's no invasion, there's no rebellion, and that the government is not having trouble enforcing the laws of the United States. So that's a long answer, but I think it is very important to contextualize both what is happening and why Governor Newsom feels like this invocation is inappropriate given what we are seeing on the ground.
So that's at the state level. I want to give an example of a protest from the lower level. David Huerta, the union leader, I believe SEIU, his arrest gained national attention. He's now out on bond after he was arrested Friday for rallying protesters. But here's what he said after his release.
I don't know what they have in store for me. I imagine at this point in time, I am their project, and they're going to put me as their example of what happens. But I'm prepared to take on that journey, and I'm prepared to face that.
He's charged with conspiring to impede an officer. This comes after the arrest of a judge in Wisconsin. What he is saying is he's being prepared to be targeted. Can you talk about that in light of the changes that Pam Bondi has made at the Justice Department?
I mean, this is a tough situation, Audie, and I'm gonna talk to the audience from the perspective of a prosecutor, which is if an individual truly, and this is the important part, right, truly has impeded a law enforcement officer, that being resisting, pushing, maybe throwing things at a law enforcement officer, that is a crime. And I think that is where myself and the Attorney General agree. We saw it in Jan 6. You cannot assault police officers. That being said, when we talk about targeting, I think what Mr. Hurto was saying was that he is going to be used as a poster child. He's going to be used as an example. What we are seeing from this department, we are seeing weaponization, the very thing that they came in and said that they want to ferret out. They are making examples of people. We have the Congresswoman from New Jersey who was arrested at the ICE facility. Again, the allegations are that she physically put her hands on an ICE agent. That is why we have due process. She is going to go to court and she will be able to mount a defense to that if she did not do it. But I think the overarching message here is that people are being used as an example for the government to show their strength and to kind of tamp down these protests by saying, we will prosecute you to the full extent of the law. And so we just need to make sure that those prosecutions are righteous and they are not indeed weaponization, as it appears some of them might